Hello. Bit of a wintry day today. It's been warm, but it's been a bit rainy and miserable. It was very foggy this morning. And unlike this fellow here that has a huge coat, some of us need to make our own. So what I've been doing is reviving some old projects. A couple of years ago, I knitted myself this jumper, beautiful colour work. Knitted this jumper from wool that I bought as a souvenir for myself when I went to Iceland years ago, and I haven't finished it. And the challenge is that this is not a jumper, this is actually a cardigan. So you knit all this in one piece, and then if you can see that line down the middle there, down the front, I have to cut that. So it's called steeking. It's been sitting in my cupboard for a couple of years because I'm terrified about cutting it and doing that steeking process. But I've decided, I live somewhere cold, I'm going to finish it. I am going to use my craft journal to write down the steeking process, make sure that I fully understand what I'm about to do before I do it, so that I can finish this beautiful jumper, cardigan, and wear it. So join me as I get into my craft journal and work out this process, and you'll get to see how I use my craft journal. Hi, I'm Ruby from the Useful Journal. I do journal reviews, I mess around with different art techniques in my journals, and I have a huge collection of collections journals for every possible hobby you could think of. Okay, so this is my craft journal. It is a sequence journal. I've had it for quite a while and started very enthusiastically and then got into journaling so much, ironically, that I wasn't doing much of my craft stuff anymore. So far it hasn't got very much in there. It's just got a few knitting pattern guides, some things I knitted, and a bit of information about yarn weights and things. It'll have more in it than just knitting because I do a lot, well, I usually used to do a lot of sewing, making clothes and things, so it will definitely have some of that sort of thing in there. And today, as I explained, I started knitting this cardigan. It's a Fair Isle pattern with Let Loppy wool, which is Icelandic wool. And basically you knit the jumper and then you knit it with this set of 2 purl stitches down the front, and I have to cut that, and that process is called steeking. So I will cut up that middle line and then I will knit on a button band and add some buttons. I am really scared about this process because it took me forever to knit this cardigan. I'm just turning it inside out so we can see on the inside. You can see if I don't do it properly that this could all unravel. All this beautiful work I've done here could just come undone. So that is why I'm a bit scared. I'm going to use my craft journal to do a bit of a page summarizing the process. I've started liking the idea of having a particular font in my collections journals. I don't have to constantly think about what font I'm going to use. I find that having the same font all the way through creates a nice consistent feel to the journal. Another example, for instance, is right here. This is my planning journal for the Useful Journal, so all my planning for my journal spreads and themes and other projects I'm doing. And I always do my headings with a calligraphy using a Fudenosuke pen, and I always just write in print using a Pilot Prera pen with a Grape Ice Pop Ferris wheel press ink in it. Always the same colour. It's just kind of nice that it's got a consistent look to it. I'm just going to do a little shadow outline though. I'll just show you the, see what I mean? Same font. It's just nice having a consistent approach. This pattern is the Solbein, not sure, cardigan. Now obviously my journal's not going to have any notes about how to knit it because I've already knitted it. In future when I'm doing a project, I will put the whole project in this journal. But for now, this is just the bit that's left. I have printed a picture of the jumper at the stage it is now, just in my HP sprocket printer. And these are adhesive. They probably won't last forever. That's one downside of using these particular zinc paper printer, like the fast printers, is that the technology they use means that the photo isn't going to last as long. I think they last maybe 10-15 years. Obviously it's not going to get any light in here, so it'll last a bit longer, but it's just something to consider if you are making journals with lots of photo prints in them, using a printer like this. Any of the other brands use the same technology, the zinc technology. You've got to keep in mind that the photos may not last. The things I want to write about in terms of a craft project is my objective, and if I'm starting a new project, I would just write, I'm going to knit a beanie, like a hat, or I'm going to knit a scarf. I'm going to draw the boxes first. Tip with smearing, you don't get as much smearing if you use your ruler upside down. I don't know why. Actually, I'll use a different ruler because that one's not flat. Little trick I learnt. I think because the edge of your ruler is away from the page, you don't get as much smearing. I'm only giving one page to this particular spread because while it's a very scary job, it's not a particularly big job. And once I suck it up and actually do the job, I should be able to get it done in a couple of hours. It'll take me a while to knit the button band, but the actual steeking's not going to take that long at all. I've been knitting for a while, but not very seriously. Like, I've knitted a few things. I tend to knit jumpers that are too big for me and then give them away to someone. I've knitted a couple of things for young family members which they wore about 3 times and then grew out of them, so not convinced that that's a good way to go with the use of my time. What I decided was, and I would probably track similar things for any project, I am going to have a materials section so that I don't get halfway through and then realize I don't have something. Right, on this box I'm going to have the date started. I want to note the time it takes me to do, so I will note that. I'll probably just do like a tally, just boxes, and if I just do half an hour then I could just colour in half the box. Here we've got date finished, and then this will be the steps I need to take, and then here I'll tick that when the step is completed, and then I want to write some notes, so kind of saying how I felt about that step. Okay, so I've written all the steps here for the steeking part of it. So when you write it all out, it actually helps because it's not quite as scary. So I have my jumper inside out, which was the first step, well, after I made myself calm. I then basically set up my sewing machine to straight stitch, and I sew down the middle of that line and the middle of that line, and then I sew a second row on the body side, so not in the middle where the cut is going to be. I sew there and there, so there'll be 2 lines of stitches either side with the sewing machine. And then I then cut up the middle between my 2 rows of stitches, and then I'll have some raw ends. Then you pick up and knit the button bands, which is a separate kind of step. And I'm thinking I might just put that on this page. Since I've got the picture of the jumper here, I've got some objectives there already. I'll probably need to add more materials. I could perhaps, yeah, I'll do all these again on this page. And in this column, as I said, I'm just going to write notes as I go. Obviously some of them won't have notes, but I might note that a certain technique or a problem I had along the way. So that is my project plan. I should note that you could always make a little pocket and stick in the actual pattern that you've used. I have saved this pattern on my computer, so I can always just refer to that. You might note where you've changed the pattern. In the materials section, you might note the actual colours you've used or the brand of wool. If I actually have to think about it and write it down in my own version, then I'm going to be a bit clearer on how to do it. Okay, I've done the second page to show you quickly, and I've just got some pictures from my pattern for the steeking bit, and I've listed the materials because they're a bit different. I've got date started, date finished. I probably won't need that many hours on either of them. I've got separate steps, so I steek to step 6, then I knit these, and then I go back to 7 to 10 of steek. Okay, same system. So that's what it's going to look like. The biggest decision I've got to make is the colour to knit the button band in. It's meant to be in this colour, matching the collar, but I don't think I have enough to knit 2 button bands there. That's not that much left. So I might have to do this for the top bit and the bottom bit, and then do white in the middle, which is going to be a bit more fiddling around, but it'll look okay. Better than it would if I put white up here. I would like to do brown all the way, but I just don't think I've got enough. So that's my project plan for finishing off my cardigan. Wish me luck. I'm a bit nervous, but I feel a bit better now I've gone through all the steps and I feel like I understand it more. Writing it down definitely helps you sort it out in your head and work out what you're going to do and what you need to do. I will still use the pattern, but this has just helped me get it all in my head, and I can tick this off as I go and make sure it's all done. So, wish me luck, and I will see you soon. Bye.